All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm Tucker Hislop, joined as usual by radiant co-host Abram Beener, and
Of
today
course.
we are here to talk about video games and the ones especially that we have played this past week. But if you want to talk to us about those games, about any other games that you've been playing, you can join our Discord. You can leave a comment down below. You can subscribe. You can like. All these things help you connect to us. Like,
Yes.
you know how in Avatar they have like hair sex? Imagine you
No.
guys with us, but like it's comments and Discord and stuff. And we're interchanging information. Yeah. But we're gonna be here to tell you about the games that we've played this past week. And Abram, you said you brought 4 games to talk about today.
Let me think in my head.
Think in your head, as you're known to do. It's a classic Abram Beener activity.
3, 4. Yeah, I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna say I have 4 games.
Okay, all right. I don't have very big thoughts on a few of my games, but I think there's discussions to be had on the show of Backlog Banter. So would you like to start with one of yours?
Before we start, I want to say 2 things. There's 2 things I'd like to note. One is that I downloaded Luminous Remastered today.
Okay, yeah, it just came out on Game Pass.
Yes, which is where I'm playing it. I'm excited to try it. I wanted to try it before we started recording. But I was like, I'm just gonna save it so I can actually put in some serious time. And then I'll talk about it next week instead of playing like fucking half an hour and calling it good. Yeah. 2, comment below if you find the window distracting. We were talking about this before we started recording. Yeah, I can't decide yet.
It was a big deal for you. I mean,
it was a big deal.
I honestly never noticed it. I like to make the claim that people are aware of windows. So it's not like confusing.
And
there's this like square of light behind you.
Right.
It's just a mysterious fucking square of light.
Sure.
He says sending. Does he like? Is there a hole to another dimension behind him? No, I mean, windows are relatively common.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But Tucker, let's start with my first game. Okay. I want to talk to you about. Wait, no, I have 5 games.
Fine.
Okay, right.
Start. Doesn't matter. Right. Doesn't make a difference.
Right. I want to talk to you first about Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Specifically, I want to talk to you about Subspace Emissary.
Okay.
The reason being is because when I was down in Florida, my aunt and I wanted to play Smash Ultimate, but she couldn't find her copy of Smash Ultimate for her Switch. And so instead of playing in tabletop mode or whatever, what have you.
Now, I don't mean to alarm you.
Yeah.
But I know you own a Nintendo Switch. And your Nintendo Switch could go on that dock. Did you not have your copy of Smash with you?
No, here's the challenge. Here's what you got to understand. Where my aunt has her games hooked up, she has a CRT there.
Yeah.
She plays her Wii U through component cables.
What about her Switch?
She just plays in handheld mode. She has a dock. It's in her bedroom, but that's far removed from where we usually are.
Okay.
I don't understand why it's still a CRT up there.
Yeah.
But she also just really enjoys handheld play. So it doesn't really bother her.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter was it would have been more hoops to jump through to either play tabletop or to go to the other room and fucking plug in all the cables and plug my Switch in.
Sure.
Because it's all predicated, of course, on her losing her copy of Ultimate, which is already a national tragedy. That's need to send out heinous. When that happens, you have to send out an Amber Alert, pretty much. But one thing transpires into the next, and instead of playing Ultimate, we're playing Brawl. And sometimes I think about Subspace because
often.
I've actually never finished Subspace.
Oh, interesting.
I like most dumb fuck kids, got stuck in the Great Maze level at the very end and just never pushed through the end. I'm like, I'll just go back to Stage Builder or whatever the fuck I was doing. So we didn't come anywhere near finishing
coin launcher, maybe. You seem like a coin launcher guy.
Actually, I was a big coin launcher.
I'm just fucking with you.
Because I wrote about this at Nintendo just a couple days ago, but I used to love collecting trophies and reading the little descriptions and everything.
Yeah.
So fuck yeah, I'd go to coin launcher and just get a bunch of trophies. Ton of fun.
Shoot the shit.
Brawl, I think, has the best side modes of any Smash Bros. Game without contest. But Subspace.
No contest.
Subspace is not very good. That's my opinion. Okay. I've tried playing it at a couple different points in more modern sense, and playing it again, I just don't think it's very good. I think that the story is interesting in the sense that, yeah, here's Diddy Kong and Fox, and they're fighting Rayquaza, and that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
But the plot doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
The gameplay feels really stilted. Like even really basic things like trying to get through doors feels wrong because you'll just tap jump unless you're exactly underneath the door. The enemies are kind of uninspired and it becomes just button mashing uninteresting. I think Subspace, every time I've replayed it, and this time in particular, I've come to realize that outside of the fan service, I just don't think it's a very compelling way to play.
Sure. It's probably been 4 or 5 years. It's been probably like partway through Smash 4, release that I played it last. I've beaten the Subspace MC probably 5 times in my life. A couple times when I was a kid. Then we put our fucking Wii into a storage unit. And it wasn't until like Smash 4 was about to come out that I'm like, I really want to play Smash again. So we like dug through this dusty ass fucking thing and we revealed the Wii from its fucking depths with like Lego Star Wars, Smash, and like Wii Sports. And that was our whole collection. And Beatles Rock Band.
Of course.
It was a game my mom had. I think Subspace Emissary is really fun. I haven't played it in a while, as I was saying, so I don't have a really fresh perspective on it. But from what I can remember in the times that I did play it, even as a mildly older person, is that I disagree about the enemies. I mean, they're not like they're not Goombas and fucking Koopa Troopers or whatever.
Yeah.
But you got the little fucking kissy one that sucks onto you. Got this tower one. You got the Primids. You've got the little fucking Q-shaped guys that like bounce off you. I think there's a lot of creativity that goes into them, and honestly, I'm glad that they don't just use generic other game enemies, because it does make it feel like its own thing, and it gives the Smash world, which isn't really a thing, but the original Smash characters that they created to make those enemies, it gives it a little more of its own flavor, and I do really appreciate that. And while I do know that the game's not designed for platforming, I think fighting NPCs that are you have to use a couple different techniques to try to deal with a few different ones of them, and there's the great boss fights, and the cutscenes are not particularly compelling in terms of an overall narrative, but each in and of themselves, each cutscene tells a small story of these characters meeting and having to overcome some sort of mild conflict, or not trusting each other initially, whatever. I think each segment of the Subspace Emissary as its own game is really interesting. I mean, the levels are very varied in terms of, you got jungles and plains and fucking Skyloft or Skyworld, fucking basically ripoffs of other locations from games. I really think that it's well made and a lot of fun.
I think my problem really comes down to the gameplay. At a certain point, again, I can't excuse the nonsensical story because it's just fun seeing the characters and worlds collide. But I wish this mode had been not in Brawl, because Brawl being so slow and already not feeling great, in my opinion, from just that core gameplay perspective, definitely doesn't translate to platforming. And then the enemies, I agree. I do like the idea of having original enemies, and the designs I think range from uninspired to pretty good. But my problem is a lot of the bigger enemies don't react like if you hit an opposing character. It's not about knockback. It's not about as free movement. So that there ends up being the sort of like a movable object feel to enemies, where they just feel like they're just completely divorced from how the core of Smash Brothers operates. I think what I like about Subspace is that it offers a different way to play, but I just don't think it offers a different way to play that makes sense in the context of the mechanics. For me, I think something like a Smash Run makes a lot more sense. And Smash Run is my favorite like spin-off Smash Brothers mode, because it still retains the focus on the Smash Brothers mechanics, but does recontextualize them in a way that doesn't feel like it stretches these mechanics as thinly as Subspace does.
No, I can definitely understand that. I mean, Subspace is probably, I think, definitely too long for its own good. And it doesn't necessarily keep spicing that up. Like the platforming stays relatively samey, whether that's you jumping through platforms that only go one way, or using fucking Donkey Kong barrels, whatever. It's not, it doesn't ramp up in terms of creativity or difficulty, whatever. So there definitely is some stagnation there, and I do agree with that. Smash Run I only played a few times, and I don't think I've ever in my life played it with other people. I feel like I would enjoy it a lot more as like a competitive thing, because against AI I just never, I mean, I played it, but I just never found the collecting of the little fucking bits that power up your stats to be that compelling. But it's certainly very unique, and it's kind of sucks that it's not around, because I think it could be done better, especially with the ease of accessibility of local multiplayer of this Switch. If that was an Ultimate, that mode would be huge with my friends. We would do a 25-minute Smash Run match, and that would be awesome. But Smash 3DS is believe it or not something that me and my friends play very often anymore.
Hit me with your next game.
Oh, okay. My first game, actually.
Great point.
Yeah. I would like to maybe do a quick mention that I beat Murder by Numbers.
Sure.
My final play clock, I think, was around 14 hours or something like that. The story is broken up into 4 chapters, which are just smaller mysteries inside of a larger narrative. And I think this game is awesome. I mean, it's simplistic in terms of the visual novel interrogation stuff, but it provides enough on the outside of Picross gameplay that it keeps you engaged in the characters. It gives you a little bit of interaction. There's a map that you can move around, which is a couple, areas that you can select that have different characters and then whatever. But on the whole, it's a really great Picross game. I mean, it's probably one of my lower but favorite top 100 games of all time, just because I love Picross so much.
Yeah, sure.
I ended up falling in love with the world and the characters, and the narrative that is told over the course of those 4 stories is actually really interesting. And you come to find out through solving the mysteries that they were all connected in ways that were teased earlier, and characters are recontextualized. And the last chapter is called Scout's Honor, and the 2 main characters are Scout and Honor, but it's actually talking about the character Scout's honor, but that's a phrase that people say. So there's like 5 fucking levels to the creativity, and I'm like, oh yeah. But I really think it's fantastic. I mean, it's Picross, not for everyone. It's visual novels aren't for everyone, but in terms of the double extra niche that it funnels into, I think it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, so I think the more I think about it, I think I'd rather try to hang with just a regular Picross game first. I think I'll just mooch off of you when you buy that Sega one that comes out in a couple days.
Yeah, very soon.
Yeah, and so I'll try that.
Today?
No, it comes out. I thought it came out on your birthday, or it's out right now.
Hold on, it's like within 3 days of my birthday in that 6-day margin. It can keep talking.
Honestly, today's Thursday. It might have been out today, considering the eShop updates Thursdays usually. But no, I think once I get those core mechanics down, and I feel it's out today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking out today. You know what I'm doing after this episode of BLB, guys? It's only $10. Yeah. What a steal! What a steal! And you're making little fucking Sega characters.
Sheesh. So yes, I'll have my first Picross impressions next week then.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is I want to get comfortable with those mechanics and have fun with Picross in that way, and then kind of build out this experience beyond it. But I really do love the idea of contextualizing it within this larger game.
Mm-hmm. And I think it is something that, because I know Picross and because I had hours upon hours and hours of just fucking doing straight Picross puzzles, that I was able to not get stuck or frustrated on the, you get 25 by 25 fucking puzzles, which is giant, and one of those can take you 25 minutes to beat. But then I also had, outside of that, okay, I want to learn more about these characters. And one of the cool things is when you finish a puzzle in Murder by Numbers, it's not just a fucking random thing, but it's a hint that you found in the environment, and that hint is now an item that you can show to other characters to get their perspective on it. So like there is an interplay there that I think is really fascinating, and it's got phenomenal music. It's got great art. It's got a fully animated opening cutscene with like an anime theme song and stuff, and it's got these fun little animations over the credits that remind you of like a Dragon Quest or something, of the characters like hopping around and like doing funny stuff. And it's just a charming ass game, and I do highly recommend it for anyone who's like Picross, because I've realized as of like the last couple months that Picross is a lot bigger than I thought it was. I always felt like just you and me talking about it, and you're like, what the fuck? This is just fucking blocks and X's. What the fuck is this? But like half the people in our Discord are fucking obsessed with Picross, and I'm like, holy shit! I like people just coming out of the woodwork loving Picross. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, because like Picross isn't just a video game thing either.
Yeah,
like
they're called nonograms in real life.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I think I sell short Picross just because I'm stupid and I don't understand it. But
sure.
But hopefully by next week I will have at least gotten the basics of it done.
Mm-hmm. That was not actually one of the 4 that I meant to talk about, but I can go on to something else unless now we both have 5. So.
Yeah.
Hit me up.
I finished Samurai Warriors 5.
Oh yeah, you kind of dabbled on that last week.
Yeah, we dabbled in it a little bit, but I finished the game.
Yeah.
It's a very peculiar game to me, because the Dynasty of Warriors games, this extends to the Nintendo ones I've played also, are very simple, but they throw so many other systems at you to make you feel like the gameplay is more complex than it really is. I I do reject the idea that these are particularly complex games, but what I don't reject is the idea that they're very satisfying games.
Sure.
Once you cut through all of the noise of upgrading your abilities and your weapons and your modes and your fucking buildings and everything and decide, it's when you just push all that away, what you have is actually just a really satisfying, it's like monkey brain satisfying. Here's 100 enemies, I'm going to kill them in one hit.
Yeah.
And I think what Samurai Warriors 5 does really well is introduce other elements on top of that make the gameplay more fun. Basically, you have almost like I guess if in your case, like a Xenoblade-esque attack cooldowns that you have secondary to your regular combo-based moves.
Sure.
So you've got these 4 ultimate skills that you can be pulling off there on cooldown timer, so they'll come back, which complicate the gameplay a little bit. You've got a mount you can ride. There's more elements here that I think make that core gameplay both a little bit more toothy, but also a lot more flashy and fun. Mm-hmm. So the nut of the experience, the moment to moment of Samurai Warriors 5 is really fun. But I think that the narrative is so exposition heavy and introduces so many characters in so many scenarios that it just becomes unintelligible at a certain point, which is disappointing because it wants to be really narrative heavy. And there are a couple of good moments, but it just doesn't quite land.
Yeah.
And the Switch version also has pretty noticeable technical issues, both in terms of really long load times. This is a multi-platform
release?
Yeah, it's on PS. I know it's on PS4 and Xbox, but I don't think there's
basically everything then.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a dedicated PS5 and Series X version. But yeah, so noticeable slowdown in battles sometimes, noticeable load times, which is disappointing. And again, I'll have my full review in Ninty Fresh, but kind of where I come down on it, the TLDR is that the core moment-to-moment gameplay is really great, and I think honestly better than in Hyrule Warriors, either of them.
Sure.
But everything around it is just not particularly compelling.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I haven't played any of these. I couldn't tell you what's really different. I mean, from what I played of the demo of Hyrule Age Calamity, I thought there was those cooldown moves. Am I wrong? Was that something that was in Hyrule Warriors? Or
you're gonna make me second guess everything I know about myself now?
No, but you have the fucking big bomb that walks and scatters other bombs and stuff. You've got ultimate attacks that are on cooldowns. You can only use every once in a while.
Well, you have your special moves, which you earn by getting enough KOs, and I guess
maybe that's what I was thinking of.
And I guess you do have like your runes on cooldowns.
Yes,
that's true. Yes, that's true. Okay, this isn't as new as I thought it was. But I still think it feels a little bit better here. I was not crazy about the implementation of the runes there, because the problem with the runes in Age of Calamity was that, enemy is doing this, I need Cryonis. Enemy is doing that, I need Magnesis.
Yeah.
Here you got a little bit more flexibility, and you can upgrade them and swap them in and out and have different play styles accordingly, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting of a system.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the problem for me is just that gap between. I think these games for me, I haven't really played them, as I said, but would be a lot of fun. Take the Switch out of my fucking backpack and play shoot the shit and fucking swipe some few things.
Yeah.
But the gap between that accessibility and the playability of it running better on stronger hardware, I don't know exactly where I would prefer to play a game like this.
I've said this to you a bajillion fucking times. Just get Definitive Edition.
Oh, okay.
Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition runs beautifully. It has, I think, the best content external to the core gameplay loop. They're like the adventure maps where you're exploring almost like an NES Zelda style map.
I've heard of those.
There is that, I think, runs beautifully, has the right content, and is the best entry point into the Warriors games for sure.
Just fucking fan service out the wazoo.
Right. And the fan service, I think, works in a game like this.
Yeah.
Very, very well. So again, I think if you're gonna play any of them, play that one.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to something actually not particularly different. Lots of attacks, lots of flash in this one, and it's not
Chameleon Twist.
No, unfortunately not. And it's not related to the DC character either. Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh, you try it?
I tried it. Yeah. I learned something interesting about myself playing this game.
Yeah.
Is I don't have a lot of interest in fighting games unless I'm familiar with like the characters in the world.
Sure.
And so basically what I did is I started up the game, I downloaded it, I played the little intro thing where fucking Soul is fighting what's his name? Cal, Kel.
Yeah.
He's his other guy. And then it opened up all these fucking options. Like, okay, you can go bam, 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 do all these different things. And I'm like, okay, I know there's an anime thing. I'll watch the intro to that. And so I watched that first episode. And then after that, it unlocks all this shit for you to do in terms of the history of the characters and a glossary for all the fucking crazy ass terms that they're doing. And I sat there for probably 2 hours and just read every glossary entry and history of every single character. And then I went back and watched another episode of the thing. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. But then I was like, all right, I need to go to bed. But then I was watching Guilty Gear history videos on my phone in bed. And I'm like, this is fucking wild. And there's like all these crazy characters. Because for me, a lot of the fun of fighting games is seeing the characters, especially straight on fighting games, is knowing the histories of the characters and the way that they relate to each other. So it becomes more of that toy soldier thing where you know the relationship between the characters. You can build your own narrative and you're like, okay, I'm recreating this, or I know why the character uses this move or this kind of fighting style. I really wanted to establish myself in that world before I got into the fighting, because I'm not good at fighting games, and that sort of combo-based system doesn't really work well with my brain. But because I was so interested by that story in the anime, which is not particularly well done, but it's fine, it's serviceable. I think I'd like to try to get into the game more, but I feel like for myself and for my enjoyment of the game, I kind of do want to finish the anime, make sure I read all the things and know all the characters before going into it, so I can have that greater connection to it. Because like when a character is announced, I want to be like, oh shit, it's that guy from the story that does this, and that's how this will play into the rest of the story when they add a new episode, and like these characters know him and he fucked him over, so like, oh shit, okay, I can recreate that in the fighting. But like without that, I just kind of don't think fighting games are for me in terms of it just being for me AI fighting and it being a lot of combo memorization and stuff, and not a lot outside of that. I mean, I totally recognize the merit and the quality of Guilty Gear Strive, but I'm going to be able to understand it and enjoy it a lot better once I've completed that education. So I've played about 3 hours of the game, but I've only played about 20 minutes of the game.
Sure. That's very interesting. I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. I at CBR had to edit some stuff about Guilty, like people wrote some articles. This story is absolute horse shit.
It's fucking crazy. It's awesome.
It's a fighting game soap opera.
Yeah.
And
so cool.
For me, that does nothing for me personally. So I relate to Strive because I think I love the characters visually, but I love what the visual style empowers you to do mechanically.
Yeah.
So for me, it is all about figuring out those mechanics and understanding the gameplay of it.
Yeah.
And while I played Injustice 2 purely because I'm a big DC fan, and Smash Bros. Of course resonates 10 times more because it's Nintendo characters. Yes. Strive is an instance where this is where I'm getting into a traditional fighting game to play the fighting game. I played
for one of the first times for you, correct?
Yeah. I played a little bit of various Street Fighter games, but really Strive is my first one I've really wanted to get into, because even Injustice, I got okay at Injustice. I could beat my friend's ass. I could hold my own online, but I really played it to play the campaign, which was really great.
Yeah.
But I mainly want to play the campaign because they're DC characters.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think for me, I'm applying that logic to any fighting game. Like when I tried to play Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or fucking Fatal Fury or something like that, I want to know who each of the characters are. And I think there's sort of a connection in my brain to something like Overwatch, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But one of the reasons I love that game so much is because in the battles that you're playing in the game, which have no story to them, you're essentially recreating things from the story, the larger narrative that's external to the game. When Mercy and Lucio have a dialogue thing while you're sitting in the spawn room, or Winston comments on something when on Horizon Luna Colony, the reason I can appreciate that so much is because I have the context of what's external to it, and it makes it a lot more special. And okay, I know why this character has his suit like this, or why they have this skin, or they're saying this voice line to something else. And Guilty Gear has a lot of that. I mean, even in that opening thing, just Sol and Kai, whatever his name is. Honestly, it was last week. Like I did this almost a week ago, and it's kind of already left my head because I only did it once. But they have like a whole interaction before the training thing starts. And I'm like, okay, well, who are these guys? Why is he saying this? Like, what's the world behind this? Why are they in this weird place? Like, what's the context? And for me, that context is really important to my enjoyment of it, because I feel there's a lot more appreciation once you know that baseline of who the characters are. So when a character does a victory pose and you're like, oh, that's like the thing that they did in the story, there's like, you know, the real depth and care that went into creating something that is so intricately made. But of course you can just enjoy it for the fighting. I think that's, that's the fun of it. And I'm approaching it from my own way. I don't know if it'll resonate with me or if I'll actually end up being into the game anymore, but I'm gonna give the story thing a little bit of another try, and maybe outside of that I'll play a few matches of the video game.
Sure. My turn.
Oh yeah, you fucking bet your bottom dollar.
Let's talk for a minute about WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games.
Okay, so you mentioned this the other night when we were on a call, and you're like, I'm playing WarioWare. I'm like, that's horseshit. You're lying to me.
No, I'm not. I played through WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games.
That's the first one, correct?
That's the first one. And I'm writing a piece for Retroware right now, to the site I write for, looking back at the very first entry before we get it together on Switch, because WarioWare Inc. is now old enough to vote, which is very interesting. So the game came out 18 years ago, and it feels as fun today as it would have felt in 2003 when the game first came out.
How'd you play this?
Wii U.
Okay, just on Virtual Console?
Just on Virtual Console.
How much it cost?
$7.
I might try it. I might go get it.
So you'll like it because you just want to play games quickly. You can beat the story mode in an hour. It's gonna cost you $7 for an hour, and then you can fucking put on your backlog and fucking tuck yourself into bed, right? But the reason I love this is because I just love WarioWare. I always have. I started with Snapped, which is the not very good DSiWare one. Yeah. It came like bundled into my system, but I really played a lot of DIY and a lot of Gold. So going back to this first game, it really is a timeless gameplay formula. And what I kind of put together in my head, because we were talking about WarioWare at some juncture, and you're like, I don't understand why I would be compelled by micro games. Mm-hmm. What's compelling about WarioWare, and I realized it playing through this one, is that it's the same thing as the Tetris effect. Mm-hmm. When you've got fucking blocks falling really quickly and you're in the zone.
It's about reaction.
Yeah. And that score chasing, when you're playing WarioWare and the micro games are going faster and faster and faster, and you're just immersed in the visuals and the audio experience, and you're not even thinking about it. You're just seeing through the WarioWare matrix, and you're getting a new high score. That's really what compels me. Mm-hmm. But what's really fun about this one, and of course later ones have story modes too, but this one is very pure, is you're going through all of the different characters in WarioWare's cast. They all have their own unique little stories. Like one, you're playing as Mona, and she's late to work, so she starts speeding. The cops come behind her, then you have to escape the police. And every time you win a micro game, your monkey sidekick throws a banana peel out the window to spin out a cop car.
Awesome.
So there's Perfect.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
There's like 11 of these, each with their own little vignette for each different character, and they get fucking bizarre. Like Dr. Krygor accidentally drinks one of his own experiments, and then makes himself sick. So he has to go take a shit, and he clogs his toilet and it overflows his laboratory, and he has to escape it. Mm-hmm. So the game is just absurd. It's got kind of like that Earthbound-esque bizarre humor.
Yeah.
So you come for the visuals in the world, and you stay for the kind of addictive loop of getting that high score.
Yeah.
And I think the game is basically flawless. My only issue with it is that just go play WarioWare Gold.
Sure.
Because that is Mega Micro Games with all of that Mega Micro Games content in terms of the micro games in a much bigger package, because Gold is a compilation of past titles. So my thing is, this is really interesting historically to see where that started, and it's just as fun and timeless. But what it really made me want to do after I beat the campaign and saw what I could see was just go re-download WarioWare Gold to have that same experience, but on a bigger scale. So
and I think that's honestly a compliment to both games. I mean, the fact that Gold is this entire game with more is just, okay, Nintendo knew how to recontextualize that and knew that there was still quality there and remake it and add stuff to it. So it is a fresh experience for WarioWare fans. and you found fun going back to the original because you can see where it started. And the existence of gold doesn't take away anything from the existence of the older game, but it does make it in some ways, the pretty much objectively lesser version, because it's the new one is just the same thing but bigger. But that's awesome. I mean, I think it was us discussing Nintendo's E3 where I said nothing against WarioWare. I literally have no like physical conception of why fucking picking goddamn nose hairs would be fun for like 3 seconds, like that, because that's so antithetical to what most games do. Even arcade-based games, those games are the same gameplay loop for a long time, but they introduce a lot of little gameplay loops in WarioWare, which is I can't wrap my brain around it because I never fucking done it before. But I think there is a lot of charm to that, and the intrigue of getting into that zone. I'm sure I'd enjoy it, or at least I'd understand it a lot better if I fucking tried to, believe it or not. But I yes. All right, let's move on to something else, a little wacky, a little arcadey. We're talking about Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD on Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
This is an interesting thing because I've never played Monkey Ball before. I have been not obsessed with, but very intrigued by Monkey Ball speedruns for a lot of my life. One of the first speedruns I watched was Monkey Ball speedruns. Like, I can't even keep up with this. My brain is operating on like 3 levels down from whoever the fuck is playing this. Right. But I've always found that concept interesting because there is such a skill there that can essentially make the levels themselves obsolete, which is fucking hilarious. And so I played 6 out of 8 worlds, I think, for Banana Blitz HD on Nintendo Switch. And I think it's pretty cool. I just don't think that physics-based challenge is very interesting to me. I mean, a lot of the levels where you can just sort of read the environment and get through it in a couple of tries are a lot of fun. And the idea that you're a fucking monkey in a ball going on these goddamn weird things, and it's short levels and high score time-based stuff, all really fun. But when it starts introducing like really specific platforming and Banana Blitz has a jump which doesn't always work, and you're going on really fucking tiny ass ribbons to the sky, it just gets really frustrating for me in a way that there's no way to get past that except for get a lot better at the game, because those levels just there's a really weird difficulty curve in Banana Blitz where the first like 5.5 worlds are just like pretty much a breeze, even for someone who's never played Monkey Ball before. I do my shirt like that, but then the last ones are like, oh yeah, okay, here, this is what challenging Monkey Ball is like. Fuck you. And if there had been a more gradual gameplay challenge slope, I probably would have gravitated towards those later levels a little bit better. But because it just came out of nowhere and I didn't really expect there to be that sort of grueling physics-based challenge, it kind of knocked me for a loop, and I just started getting really frustrated. I was on this level where you go up a fucking thing, or you're going down a thing, and then you go through the head of a fucking like skull dragon, and then there's like a really thin thing.
Yeah.
And I probably played that level 60 times, and I still haven't beat it. Like it's so fucking slippery. And I know it's intentionally so, but man, I just find that so frustrating.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I'm being unfair. It's just, I think it's because I'm not used to it. And honestly, I wasn't expecting the challenge. I don't know.
I mean, like, honestly, I talked about it on BLB because I finally played Banana Blitz earlier this year. There are a couple of stages that are a motherfucker, but I think I either just said, okay, I'm not going to do it the way you want me to because that's annoying. I'm going to go do it my own way.
Yeah.
Or just got through it. And frankly, I didn't find the game very hard, but I'm also coming from a perspective of having played a lot of Monkey Ball before.
Yeah.
I really want you to try Banana Mania.
Of course. No, I want me to try Banana Mania.
Yeah, because the core of Monkey Ball is fun because it does ask you to get good. It's just it's a very simple game. All it is increasing your skill level in the context of a really interesting riff on the platformer. Because typically that's not how you play a platformer, but Monkey Ball is basically an arcade platformer.
Yeah.
And so I find that really compelling, wherein you're basically moving the stage, not the character. And that's fun. And I think it's charming. And I think it does give you options.
Loco Roco.
Yeah, but Loco Roco is like a fucking acid trip from hell. I really we should talk. I will give it another shot because I think I might have bought remastered on a sale or something.
So that's on PS now.
That's true. Maybe I played it there. I don't remember. I know we played it at your house for a little bit,
yeah.
But I just think there's something really simple and satisfying about Monkey Ball, and I think that the speed at which you can play a stage and get back into the stage means that it doesn't feel punishing when you lose. And I do think that there are ways where the developers intentionally kind of make things a little bit loosey goosey. So if you want to just fling yourself over an edge to try to get somewhere instead of doing what they want you to do, you can.
No, of course. And I even think that level that I'm talking about obviously has that option. I mean, you just have to go down at an angle, but I've never had to do that before in my entire run of the game.
Yeah.
So I've tried it a couple of times, but I just fucking shoot by it by 3 inches. And I'm like, well, because you can't fucking see where you're going because there's no control of the camera. So it's like, just fucking hope and pray, just jump and fucking make it into the goal. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm cutting you off.
That's fine.
Banana Blitz is I just don't think it's a very good game at the end of the day. I don't think it nails as you were saying, the difficulty curve. I don't think the level design is nearly as tight or as interesting. And so you know what it feels like to roll the monkey in the ball.
Yes.
But I don't think you know what it feels like to roll the monkey in the ball when the developers are giving it the best effort that they could.
Yeah.
And the jump is interesting, but the jump completely breaks the fucking game. I have a lot of clips on here of me having phones that beat the campaign and got Sonic who breaks the game, and then you jump with Sonic when the jump already breaks the game, and you can just completely just break the jaw of these levels.
Yeah.
And the jump is coming back in Banana Mania, but as a toggle, so you can have it on or not. No, you can't put your score on the leaderboard if you use the jump. So it seems like actually, and they're adding like a time slow mode for those precision challenges.
Interesting.
So it seems like Banana Mania will be a really accessible way for you to address your problems in the context of a much better designed game.
Of course, yeah. I'm honestly very excited to try that game because I know how much people talk about those first 2 Monkey Ball games, and I just hopped into the one that I had access to.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, like I had a good time with it. I mean, I do like games that are fucking dumb gameplay idea and just literally roll with it. But yeah. So I think I could be a Monkey Ball fan, but I don't think it's the one for me.
No,
and it's not the one for you either, and you're a Monkey Ball fan, so I think I'm not unreasonable in what I'm saying.
You want me to come closer? Game. Oh, right. We do the show where we go back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Ascent, which I have played probably 3 hours of at this point.
Okay.
This game's pretty wicked. This game's pretty fucking wicked. I really like it a lot. I'm not a huge Diablo guy, but Diablo is probably the closest frame of reference I can give it. It's twin stick Diablo pretty much in terms of doing your missions, crawling your dungeons, collecting your loot, upgrading your armor, upgrading your weapons and everything. But it's in the context of twin stick shooter with a cover system, which is pretty interesting. So you can aim high to aim over cover, or you just aim normally. So there's a little bit of nuance there, which I don't think is traditional in twin stick shooters, but it's not a genre I'm honestly that familiar with. So the gameplay is really satisfying. The guns sound awesome, and the sound of that really just pumps up the whole. I don't even know what that is.
It's the original twin stick shooter. It's one of the fucking OG arcade games.
Oh, my bad. No, I haven't.
You play as a fucking hero, and you're trying to save the last human family. You shoot a bunch of fucking robots.
Sure.
It's an endless twin stick shooter.
You shoot a lot of robots in this game too.
Off.
So the core gameplay feels great. I think that the combat is awesome. I really like the RPG elements. They don't feel overwhelming, but they give you a lot of customization over your character, both visually and mechanically. But what really fucking puts the icing on the cake is the cyberpunk world you're in, which is fucking drop dead gorgeous. Not only their use of lighting with these incredible neons, not only the depth of grime and detail is all over the world, but the sense of scale, that of course it's twin sticks, so you don't have camera control.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a lot of great moments where they pull out the camera and you realize that, yeah, you're just this really little man in this gross cyberpunk world that doesn't give a shit about you.
Sure, yeah.
And that's really cool thematically and really cool visually. And to the point about thematics, I think that while I love Cyberpunk 2077, that took the aesthetics of Cyberpunk, but none of the substance of Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
This takes the substance of the themes of Cyberpunk, but presents them in a way that feels fresh, because there are like aliens and full robots here, which is not something you usually see in Cyberpunk, because it's usually a more grounded look at
direct futuristic thing.
Yeah, so bringing these more traditional sci-fi elements into it is pretty interesting and makes this world feel pretty unique, even if it borrows a lot of motifs from, Akira and Blade Runner and Neuromancer and the sort of tenets of this subgenre.
Yeah,
I really love this game. I think it's really awesome.
I'd be really interested to hear you get more into it, because I've only heard a few things about this game. What I have heard is that it's gorgeous game, and the core gameplay is phenomenal. But I think what I've heard, and I'm only remembering fucking ancient memories from like a week ago or whatever, is that there comes a point where the game stops having a lot of variety and starts feeling really samey and stuff. And it'll be interesting to see if that becomes an issue for you, or if the aesthetic helps you overcome any frustrations with that or whatever. I mean, I'd really love to hear your overall thoughts on the game, as opposed to pretty much just first impressions.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the game is like 12 to 15 hours if you're mainlining it. I'm not somebody who usually does side content. That's just not the way I play. I tend to get lost in the urgency of a narrative. So if a character tells me that a quest is important, I believe them. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way my brain works.
Except for Breath of the Wild.
Except for Breath of the Wild. But Breath of the Wild is basically the exception to every single rule, both from a game design perspective and from my subjective enjoyment of that genre perspective. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm reviewing it for RetroWare, so I'm kind of playing it on the clock a little bit. So I'm going to put in a couple long sessions over the weekend and probably wrap it up definitely in time for next week's episode. So I'll give more of a review there. I will say, to that point about my immersion kind of getting lost a little bit, you fight in places where there are a shit ton of innocent people, which makes the battles chaotic and interesting, but you just kill innocent people and it doesn't matter at all.
Sure.
Which I kind of, I get what they're going for. I understand.
Life doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And
the world's so fucked up that innocent lives are no longer an issue.
Yeah. And like you're down in the slums, and there's a real, just like a legitimate verticality to the higher up you go up the levels of the city, the better life is. People who can't afford it live at the bottom, and it's just shit. But at a certain point, I'm fighting like a spaceport, and I probably killed 30 innocent people on accident because they're running in between me and the people attacking me, which feels a little bit weird.
That Mario Tennis Aces level where the fucking guy is across the middle of the court.
Sure. But I give it Ascent 2 thumbs up so far. It's on Game Pass. It's not going to hurt you to try it.
It's not going to hurt you. Another game that's on Game Pass. Thank you for that segue, unintentional segue. Psychonauts.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Psychonauts. I started Psychonauts, and I've probably played 5 or 6 hours of it. You're right. I've actually probably played 7 hours of it, because I played the first hour of the game. I'm like, hell yeah. And I turned off the Xbox and I turned it back on. And when I tried to launch it, it was like, you can't launch it. I'm like, why is that? What the fuck are you talking about? And it just wouldn't let me start the game. And then I probably started it, and then my save file wasn't there. I'm like, okay, phenomenal. So then I played like 3 hours of the game in like one straight sitting. After that, I restarted it. And then I closed it out, and then I realized, oh, I wasn't on my account this time.
Okay.
So my actual playthrough is currently on Jenny's account. Sure. And I've got a 1 hour playthrough set on my account. That I'm gonna just play on her. It's really no difference.
Right.
But
right.
I mean, I won't get the achievements, but fucking whatever. So yeah, I've actually played slightly more of the game than my actual play clock implies. But this game is like so ahead of its time, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, it's ludicrously creative. There's such a depth of detail in terms of terminology that they're using. Like when you go into a level, you're doing collectathon 3D platformer things. Actually, it's not really collectathon. It's more they're straight 3D platforming levels, but you have collectibles within them. And what you're finding are figments of your imagination and emotional baggage. And like, there's like, you're dealing with trauma and stuff. So it's like using these like mental health health pickups or mental health, which is fun. But it's using all these fun terms that, because people, talk about mental health nowadays. But in the context of this crazy world where you're a psychic superhero who's being in training to go into people's minds to help solve their problems and stuff. And there's this darker, larger issue, and you're interacting with all these weird characters that all have like super angular fucking faces and like weird things coming off of them. And it's just wacky to the nth degree. And it's really, really creative. I mean, the way that you summon help from the doctor guy, who's kind of your main helper, is you wiggle a piece of bacon and he comes out of your ear and he starts talking to you. And it's just like, who the fuck came up with that? It's great. It's phenomenal. And on top of that, I mean, the game controls great. It's got pretty simple combat. You've got like a little shooting with some fire and some fucking punches, but you've got this levitation ball that accounts for momentum that you can use to get extra jumps, and you're unlocking new power-ups after every main mission and stuff. So you're expanding your moveset. You can go back and grab other collectibles. There's a great hub world because what you're doing is the hub world's an actual world, but then the levels are inside people's minds. So you have to go find them and then talk to them and then give access to their brain. I think it's great. I haven't gone back to it in a few days, but mostly because I've just been watching movies, lol. But I'm really excited for Psychonauts 2 because main problem with this game is that it's an old ass game and those FMVs look fucking crusty. Let me tell you,
Sure.
They're in like 360p and they're running at like half the frame rate that you're used to. You're ooh, but then the game goes to gameplay and it's in fucking 1080p and it's up-res and stuff. And you're like, there's a little disconnect here. But man, this game is awesome. And I really think it'd be interesting to for you to give it a try. I know it's it got room on your plate inevitably, or coming within imminently. Thank you. But I think it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on it because I think it's a really creative game.
Yeah, but you got me thinking about that FMV thing for a second. That is a weird challenge that people overlook. You can't really just upscale those videos; they just look like fucking garbage.
Yeah,
and sometimes developers do the terrible thing of stretching it to 1080 by punching in on the video, which is also a huge mistake. So there really is unfortunately no good solution to that other than unless they happen to have like the sitting on a fucking hard drive somewhere, the full quality files to put back into the game. But in terms of Psychonauts itself, I think I'm really gonna love this game because I enjoy a good 3D platform and I like a good creative adventure, and that's exactly what this is. I have every intention on playing it and its sequel this year. It just happens to be a weird time where I'm traveling a lot and I've got a couple different games I have to play for work, which is just kind of eating up a lot of my gaming time. But no, everything you say sounds amazing. Everything I've heard about Psychonauts sounds amazing. It's just a matter now of finding that. How long is it?
The game, 12 hours, 15 hours, somewhere in that time slot.
Yeah, it's a matter of just finding the week in which I can just play through it. So it will happen.
It will. And if you're paying attention to this, Psychonauts is, I mean, kind of unofficially, but fuck you, I'm the boss. The BLB Game Club game this month for August in preparation for its sequel releases the August 27th, I believe. On Game Pass, also available on PlayStation and PC and everything. But that's really exciting. And if you'd like to talk about the game, you join the Discord, play through it yourself. It's on fucking Game Pass. You play on your goddamn motherfucking phone, and you talk about the game. People who play the game.
Yep.
I'm trying to bring a little bit of wobbliness to this episode. You can't catch me on the gingerbread man. Fucking say.
I mean, I'm hearing the words you're saying, and I understand what H means, but in sequence, I'm not. Let's talk about Mario Kart Live Home Tour.
Oh, Home Invasion. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, Mario Kart Live Home Invasion, as we call it here on the channel, which is the last game I have to talk about. So I came home from Florida. I had to get up at 6 a.m. I had to fucking be in airports from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. I hate airports. I hate air travel. So it just, and there's
don't watch the terminal or Up in the Air or Airplane.
I will tell you, there's some airplane in the airport movies I like. I like Catch Me If You Can. It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched, which was not a good movie, but I watched it. A Liam Neeson movie where he's on a plane and there's like a terrorist attack on a plane.
Snakes on a plane.
Liam Neeson has a terrorist movie for every type of motor vehicle there is.
He does a lot of horse shit. You ever look at you just look at his filmography and you're like, you're famous and successful. What the fuck are you doing?
He's in that class of actors who ended up just doing shitty straight to video.
Yeah.
Before straight to video like had any kind of cachet at all. So I think Red Letter Media was making a joke either about him or Bruce Willis, where every week you check new releases and it's like him with a gun and it's like fucking blood kill or something. So, no, but the long day, there was two little kids. One was dumping chips under the floor of the airport. Another kid was eating them off the floor. It's just a fucking zoo. The airport sucks. So I get home and I'm real tired. There's no food in the house. So I come upstairs. I'm sitting on my bed in the room I hadn't cleaned, which is I was already fucking annoyed enough by that. But sitting on my bed was Mario Kart Live Home Invasion. Mm-hmm. My dad had gotten it for me. I had an offhanded conversation with him about it before I left and forgot about it, but he remembered. He bought it for myself and my sister, which is really cool of him to do. This game is the closest to magical that I think a game has been for me in a very long time.
Sure.
It's like Blue Ocean Wii Sports first time you hooked up your Wii type of magic.
Like Endless Ocean.
Like Endless Ocean, exactly like Endless Ocean.
Did we ever talk about that on BLB? I don't think we did. I think we played the game, but we just honestly forgot to mention it.
Probably.
We played Endless Ocean, just for the fucking record.
Yeah. Tucker abused me with the fucking one vocal song at the beginning of the game just constantly.
I think I said it once.
I'm not going to explain the concept of Mario Kart Live because you probably, if you're watching this video, you know what it is.
Yes.
But there is something so fun about my sister and I. We built a big, don't tell Nintendo, but we built a ramp for our cars to go up and down, and we rearranged our entire living room to make a track and everything, and that's so fun. And then getting to the seamlessness of connecting it to your Switch and then looking and I'm like, oh shit, there's my cat running away from my Mario Kart and I'm driving it around. Mm-hmm. is so great. And then my parents came home and then they wanted to play it too. So Laurel and I passed our Switches off to them, and they haven't really played a game since the Wii. We used to play Mario Kart Wii as a family all the time. So they were just like slowly puttering around and trying to figure out and having a blast. It is exactly what Nintendo is so good at, about bringing people together and having an inventive idea and concept and everything. And the gameplay itself is actually way more in depth than I thought it was going to be.
Interesting.
The game has incredible unlockables. First of all, Mario Kart 9, when it comes, needs to take this level of unlockables from different track parts to different cosmetics to different songs you can listen to. It's really great.
I could see a big part of Mario Kart 9, its draw being a track builder.
I've said this in the past. I completely agree. But there's also Grand Prix to do. The challenge, of course, is Grand Prix. The challenge, of course, is you can't design different courses, right? Because the player has set them up themselves. I'm sure they could rearrange them in between every race, but that's tedious. So what they do is they overlay different hazards and different hazards onto the track and different properties onto the various gates you have to set up.
Yeah.
And like visual filters all over the whole thing for weather and everything, and changes the kart physics. By the way, that's bizarre. The way that the kart will speed up or slow down in real life, depending on how it interfaces with the game. Mm-hmm. Very wild stuff. It is so intricate and complex. My biggest only problem with it is that it's really finicky from a connection standpoint of how close you have to be to the cart. And my house also has a fucking persistent issue that I do not understand. Sometimes like my Joy-Con motion isn't quite right, or my wireless mouse won't move exactly the way I want it to. So I think part of this is the problem with my house specifically.
Shouldn't have built it on like an Indian burial ground or whatever.
They warned us not to.
Yeah.
But
the movie Poltergeist is about that.
Yes. But I'm just really in awe of what they're able to accomplish here. It does not feel like Nintendo Labo, where the concept is amazing, but the gameplay is vapid.
Sure.
this really feels fleshed out. I think it's weird that you can only really race against the Koopalings, for instance. I think there could have been a couple more options there. But the depth of customization, the imagination of the way that the AR interfaces with your real world and the gameplay elements, the ways that they translate items and drifting and power-ups and everything. This is, if it hadn't been so prohibitively expensive, this would have been understood in the community as one of the most inventive and whimsical and fun things Nintendo has released in the last decade.
Sure,
it's really cool.
It's really tough to see what the genuine quality of is it from those trailers, because those trailers don't do the gameplay of driving around justice. A lot of what they're showing is you can build your own thing and it's in real life, and look, the camera showing your fucking couch. And that's obviously very cool, but it's hard to tell how engaging is that. Is the core gameplay of it just overlaying like weather effects? Is that really, you know, something to get into? I think really I like that there are very creative games like this that are essentially like specific use cases. Like you got to set up your entire life around this thing for it to like work in perfect synergy. I think that there's a space for that. You know, specific arcade games that require a big ass fucking cabinet with bits and bobs going on. Like games should be creative
VR.
like that. Sure, VR. You know, it's becoming a little more commonplace. But I think there's a place for that. I think the reason it's not as successful is because you have to base your entire life around it for a day to enjoy it to its fullest potential. And you're probably going to play this 3 times and never again. You're not going to be able to play it when you go back to college. I mean, after a while, it'll, you know, maybe the cardboard things will break down. But there's a lot of factors to this that don't make it like ideal. But it's creative, and those moments you have of it being magical are, you know, you're never gonna. No one's gonna take that away from you.
No, they can try, but they won't. Yeah, I know you will. I know you will.
But they're never gonna be able to do it, and I won't either. So I think it's awesome that you're really enjoying it. I couldn't tell you how much I would enjoy it. I think the creativity of building your like in track and, you know, seeing it fucking go and hitting the skid and the cart reacting and stuff, that's all awesome. But without having it in my hands, I can't really say.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other comments on that?
No.
Okay. We're done invading homes. You've got one more game.
No, I don't. Do you?
Yes.
Oh.
What the fuck? How'd that happen? I don't know. But I do have one more. Technically, I have 2 more games, but I think I'll save one for next week.
Fucking spin them as fucking yank them down.
From where? You ever do that like to a truck driver and they go bah, bah. So
yeah, my kids do that to my
dad
all the time.
Like that's an interesting cultural thing. Like people just know that.
Because my dad drives a dump truck, so whenever, especially because we've got an Amish.
Yeah, I do.
We've got an Amish community by my house, so and those little
real shit. I always thought Amish people are fucking fake. Like
no, they're real.
Who the fuck are they? Where they live? Fucking mythical creatures. They're like goddamn elves or gnomes or shit.
They're real, and they all dress the same, and they all have the same beards and everything, and they're very industrious. Like they make beautiful woodworkings and everything.
Yeah.
But my dad will see them fucking like literally riding in a cart and buggy, or like carrying the fucking pails of water around. And so the little kids will go, "Am I ever dying?" My dad will, you know, pull on the horn.
And they're like, that's what technology sounds like. Oh, and it makes those kids' day. Like they got to hear the sounds of technology and like human progress, and then they go back and live in the fucking Stone Age, and they're like, "Mom, Dad, I heard a horn today," and they're like, "No, you're being infected by the devil." And they fucking hit on the head with a rock or whatever.
But then when you turn 18 and you're Amish, you get to leave.
Go fucking wherever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, you go get like fucked up for a week, and then you can come back or stay out. Very weird.
Yeah. But there's so much to like the idea of like nurture and like how they teach you to see the world, that those kids are like, I'm sure there are examples of Amish people like growing up, leaving and like becoming, you know, genuine functioning members of society, but that's probably fucking rare because they have never seen a fucking elevator before, and that probably just like scares the piss out of them whenever like a fucking rotating door. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
They fucking have a stroke.
And we know almost beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Amish aren't going to start boycotting BLB because they're not watching this video.
True. Yes.
So we have free reign to say whatever we want.
I've always said that the one and only group I will ever make fun of, which I've just denied that that's true because I just made fun of Amish, is cartographers. I don't know why, because you don't talk. No one fucking talks about cartographers. What did you fucking draw maps? Oh, just turn on Google Maps, idiot. Like, whatever.
I like a good silent cartographer.
There's a Halo reference for those of you unbeknownst. But Abram, let's talk about the final game of the day. Because I am gonna say, oh, look at you wiping a tear. I'm so fucking.
No, I want to hear both.
Okay. Calm down. We're gonna talk about Death's Door first. Death's Door is kind of the game that's taken the internet by storm recently. I mean, it's one of those games that's coming out of the fucking woodwork, and people are like, holy shit, this is awesome. And people saying game of the year contender. And I've played about a third of it. It's not particularly long. It's not particularly complex, but it's basically just fucking perfect on every level. I mean, it's got this wonderful art style. Questions?
Yeah, I want you to slow down. I want you to explain to me on a high level what the gameplay actually is, because I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Death's Door is hack and slash combat with sort of Zelda-like exploration, and people say Souls-like bosses, but that's not true. I mean, top-down action games all have the same kind of bosses. Like you're fighting a Mega Man boss in 3D essentially.
And is it a roguelike?
No.
No.
No, it's not.
Okay, that makes me more interested.
Which is why I think the Souls-like comparison is people just trying to be like giga-brained about it. You don't lose your money or your soul. There are souls. You don't lose your souls when you die. So there's no penalty for death. The boss fights are challenging. You do have a limited health pool, and every hit, you have 4 hits, and then you die, and you have to go back to checkpoint. So it's kind of retro or whatever in that remark. But I think what is Souls-like about it, and which is, in my opinion, the best element of the Souls games, is intricate level design that connects back and within itself. So if you pull a fucking lever and you walk down a ladder and you're like, oh shit, I'm back at the beginning. So now if I want to spawn at this checkpoint, I can skip everything and go right back to the top. It's like, oh fuck. It's got that really satisfying exploration that rewards you for checking every nook and cranny. There's a lot of like, the camera is fixed. So if you see that there's a little gap in something and you like wedge yourself in between there, sometimes there'll be a whole little area in there with a little extra pickup or whatever. There's a lot of stuff to that. And then it's just got a satisfying upgrade system where you go back to the hub world, which is like this world where it's a corporate overlord of death, and you're the guy who's going out and killing people, and you have to go back and exchange your souls at the fucking desk, and there's people like typing at typewriters and stuff, and it's got a satisfying loop in that way. It's got that great exploration. This combat is really like, so like every hit you feel like you're really slashing into them, and the enemies don't have health bars. They just start cracking until you kill them. So you have to like take that into consideration. There's this really unique mechanic where you discover a seed. You collect seeds and you can plant them in a little pot, and it gives you a little health flower that'll refill your health. But that health flower stays there forever. It's permanently there, and it respawns every time you die. So you have that as like an option. If you plant it, it's essentially an extra like health refill wherever you want. And there's a fucking load of them. I thought they were limited, but it turns out there's like 1 seed for every pot. So now I have like 17 fucking seeds, and I don't know what I want to do with them. But it's an amazing game. I really think it's phenomenal, and I do want to play a lot more of it. I think it's something that's not very long, and I'd love to beat it. Yes, tongue out, questions in head.
I'm just looking it up on the Xbox app.
It's $20.
That was gonna be the thing I was looking up
on Xbox. I got it for 10 because I don't fucking know why, but I got a message on my Xbox app. It's like, hey, you want a $10 gift card from Microsoft? I'm like, okay, and they gave it to me. I got it for $10.
Now, how does an MF who sends me a message on Xbox that just says PP swing a $10 gift card?
Yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
Because that'd be good. I really do want to play this game.
Yeah.
Again, I have a deficit of time at the moment.
Yes. Which is my biggest problem with it, is that it's not on Switch. It's awesome that Xbox is getting these kind of games and they're expanding their portfolio. We just made a whole video about that.
Yeah. But
this is a perfect Switch game, and I would have probably already beaten it now if it was on Switch. I mean, it's not super graphically complex, so it would probably run fine. I think it's possible that it gets a port at some point. But
I look like Marlon Brando when I do this. Shot with a diamond bullet.
Okay, they massacred my boy.
I was making Apocalypse Now joke.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, right. That is his famous Apocalypse Now line.
Okay.
But the reason I was tapping my head like that is I would imagine that probably that this was like a contractual timed exclusive thing.
Yeah, I don't think we know for sure, but that would make sense.
No, I'm just making a supposition here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it on Switch eventually. But I probably want to play it sooner than 6 months from when the contractual obligation might end. So it's on me horizons for sure.
This is one of those games I think in like that Fall Guys slot where it'll headline a Nintendo an indie direct.
Great point.
Next year, like this will be the closer for an indie direct. People are like, oh shit, that's story on Switch. Like I think it's gonna be or like Hades or something like that. Although Hades was initially on Switch, but whatever. Yeah, I can see it because I do think it's got that quality and that charm. Your little fucking bird with a fucking umbrella that you're swinging around. Like it's got this game has probably my favorite, most creative video game character I've ever seen in my entire life in it. And I don't want to spoil it because coming upon him, he's on the fucking key art. So actually I could tell you, but I came upon this character and I'm like, there's no way this is this creative. And it was
you came great. Upon them.
I did. Yeah. He works in a like a saloon called like the Salty Sailor or something like that. And his name is Jefferson. And he is a giant squid controlling the corpse of a sailor. And he's got one arm wrapped around the fucking arm of the guy.
That's a great idea.
And sometimes he'll give you soup and then he'll flop and you're like, oh shit, and you like pick himself back up.
That's such a great idea.
It's a fucking phenomenal idea for character. Also, a character called Pothead, and his head is a pot and it's filled with soup. And when he bows, a little soup spills out of his head, and then he like gets out his sword, but he takes off the lid off his head as a shield. It's like fucking phenomenal.
Next time I get next paycheck I get, I think I'm just gonna buy it. So I have it waiting in the wings for me because it just sounds like all the things I love.
Yes. So. Yeah. And I mean, with that, give a little taste, a little taste of Souls-like exploration. You're like, oh, maybe I really want to play Dark Souls Remastered. Oh. God, what a great game! I love Dark Souls. Oh fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Bloodborne.
Yeah, you are. You know what? You want to talk about the last game? You have a last question or something?
Why don't you give it a name drop?
Something very similar to Bloodborne, actually. In fact, that it probably made me like
Chameleon Twist.
Yeah. It's made me sweat a lot more than Bloodborne.
Neo.
Ring Fit Adventure.
Neo 2.
Ring Fit Adventure.
The Surge 2.
No one talked about those fucking games. But I got Ring Fit Adventure
Lords
early
of
for my birthday. I told my mom about this game and I was about to buy it for myself. I'm like, wait a goddamn. It's my birthday in 2 weeks. What am I doing? This is a perfect birthday gift. And my mom like ordered it on whatever the fucking mailed it to me. And it came early and I thought it was textbook. So I opened it, it's Ring Fit Adventure.
That's really cool.
And that was 3 days ago. And I haven't played it yet today because I had work in the morning and then groceries and now I'm here. But I played it for 45 minutes each day that I've had it so far. And as someone who has probably worked out for a total of an hour in the last 3 months of my life, I'm actually sore. I'm a weak motherfucker. And this shit is getting to me. Those fucking overhead presses, I don't have muscles here that like allow me to do that properly.
So Ring Fit Adventure, by the way, has cracked into Nintendo just updated their IR data this morning.
Over
it's cracked
11
into the
million,
top.
I think.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm old.
This benefited from the Animal Crossing bump of coming out during the pandemic where people couldn't leave their homes and wanted to work out. And I have played both Ring Fit and Wii Fit. Mm-hmm. Wii Fit is for like middle-aged moms who don't really want to actually work out. They want to do the yoga. Mm-hmm. But Ring Fit Adventure is a motherfucker. I do work out consistently. I go to the gym. I go on runs, usually 5 times a week.
You live like a fucking dwarf in the mountains. Where's the goddamn gym around? Where's a fella get a gym around this part?
A fella like me goes down to the basement where your dad's got the squat rack and the weights and everything. But
my squat rack's a ring con.
My problem with Ring Fit Adventure is that it's a real workout.
Yeah. And
what I mean by that is the reason I love to work out, not only because it helps me, my physical fitness, my mental health, because it gives me an opportunity every day to disengage from the screens and the games and everything and just listen to some music, listen to a podcast, and go run, go lift, do something.
Yeah.
Wii Fit was fun because it was so gamified and you weren't really working out that you were like kind of getting active, but it was gamey.
Mm-hmm.
When I was playing Ring Fit, because you can scale it up with how in shape you are, it's a real motherfucker. It's a real workout. So my problem with the game is that it is too good. And that if I'm going to get a real workout, I want to get a workout and step away from games and everything for a little while. So I think it is a amazing piece of software for people who want to exercise but just don't want to go for a run or don't want to go lift weights, because it's daunting to do. I think Ring Fit is an amazing way to get yourself in shape and have a really fun fitness experience. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hating it and enjoying it at the same time. I mean, when fucking Ring, which I think they could have named that character a little better, whatever. I'll criticize the fucking narrative of Ring Fit Adventure. Fuck you. Is telling me, okay, you got to do more squats now. I'm like, but I just did squats. I've only got like 5 moves at this point. So I got to keep doing goddamn squats. And I'm like, I don't want to keep doing squats. I don't want to keep doing overhead press. I'm interested in getting more moves so there's some more variety and I can, work out a different part of my body. But I don't do squats in my day-to-day life. And it's like, I'm like, I'm fucking tired. I'm sweating. And then it's like, no, you gotta beat the little fucking Hoplin. And I'm like, you're right. I do. And
it's so empowering when you do.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot of, I think what this game does best, external from anything within the game itself, or that gamified world or elements of battle or traversal or whatever, is using the modular nature of the Switch to its benefit. This shit tracks your entire movement with 2 fucking Joy-Con. This shit scans your fucking heart rate at the end of a thing. And I'm like, I forgot the IR sensor was even on it. They fucking talked about that doing rock, paper, scissors, not fucking scanning your heart rate. And the game just has a lot of charm in terms of being so fucking hammy with everything is fitness based, and your experience points are called gains, and the fucking and big bad boss is just like, and I'm just like, this is fucking ridiculous. And I think it's really, really cool. You can also just, without your Switch even on, you can just pump this ring while you're doing other shit, and it'll count it and it'll give you experience points. It's like fucking workout Pokewalker. That's epic.
I really think that Ring Fit Adventure is an amazing game and probably the best blue ocean title Nintendo's ever released outside of Wii Sports. I think it's staggeringly impressive, and those sales results show that it resonates. It's just it's out of this world. It's dynamite. The game's fucking dynamite.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I'm gonna keep playing it. I know that's a fucking New Year's resolution. No one fucking follows through things. I'll see. I honestly, I don't want to set my expectation too high. I'll probably stop and then forget about it and whatever. But I'd like to, ideally, but we don't live in an ideal world now. Fucking do we?
How is Tanner going to keep his hands off you when you get those Ring Fit gains?
That's true. One funny thing is the game. I was finishing up a round, a workout, if you will.
I will.
And it was like, what? There's a frequently asked questions. It was like all little loading screen was giving me frequently asked questions like, I want to play Ring Fit Adventure without accidentally ending up like a bodybuilder. And I'm like, who the fuck's asking this question? And it's like, and the game's like, no, don't worry. Like you won't get too strong accidentally. And I'm like, who the fuck is asking this? But I think that's pointing to the fact that this is so blue ocean and so accessible and so, like, you look like a jackass doing it, but who cares? I mean, you look like a jackass lifting weights anyway, so you might as well be putting hours into your Nintendo Switch that you can check on your fucking parental controls app.
That's a great point. It's a really great point.
I'm not even doing anything here, but my room is fucking hot. I'm sweating like a goddamn right now.
Yeah. You're not able to achieve homeostasis at the moment?
I would love to, but I think I would need to externally homeostasize.
When's the last time you achieved homeostasis with a woman?
I don't even want to know what you think that is. This has been a phenomenal episode of BLB.
I agree.
Every time we do one of these and it fucking turns out like this, I'm like, this is why we do it. Bullshitting about the fucking dumb game. Who the fuck cares that I'm playing Ring Fit Adventure? I do, and hopefully you do, and hopefully you watch it. do. And come make fun of me for being a weak motherfucker, but then cheer me on because maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to crush your skull to my thighs one day.
Yeah,
You've all been dreaming about it.
Yeah, you will.
Your dreams will become a reality because of Ring Fit Adventure. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you next week for another installment of BLB. Yeah, I mean, it's got everything I could want on it.
I suppose so. I suppose so.
It's got food, it's got bathroom, it's got shelter.
It has bathroom.
It has bathroom.
Butterboxed has bathroom.
Should make that a new slogan. It really rolls off the tongue. Nintendo Switch has games. Letterboxd has bathroom.